Rounding the stretch here, the final stretch for incidents and accidents. So, what happens if you are involved in an incident or accident? Well, the very first thing that you're going to do is contact Operations Emergency. It's the same 888 number you use for everything else. It's extension 9. Do not contact the owner first. They cannot do anything for you. They're going to tell you, hopefully, to call club operations because they do not hold the insurance policy. So if something happens, you need to contact Operations Emergency, and then we will advise you on what next to do. We do have what's called a member benefits program, or IDP, which is what Talisha mentioned earlier. And the IDP has 5 different programs in there that do different things. Now, these are privileges of your membership. They are not guaranteed if you are doing something that's against the rules. For instance, if you are a student or a pilot that's flying with a non-authorized instructor, then then number one is you're not covered under this, under the insurance and the insurance deductible plan. Number two, then your membership is very likely to be suspended and or terminated once we find out. And trust me, we always find out one way or another. Number two, you're an instructor and you're instructing whether a club member or not a club member, and you're not an authorized instructor, the same situation goes. You must be authorized if you're an instructor to instruct in club airplanes. And what that means is if you're signing someone's logbook, you are instructed in club airplanes. And if that does happen, then both you and the student or the member that you're signing the logbook for, those memberships are both subject to termination. So don't do it. And you're also not covered under this program. So if you're doing everything per the bylaws and per the ops rules, then you're going to have no issues. Now, one of the benefits here, before we get into how the incident and accident timeline works, is we have a trip interruption assistance rather program as part of the member benefits program. And what this means is if you're stuck away from base because of a mechanical issue or a maintenance issue, you are allowed up to $1,500 reimbursement for whether you're having to stay the night or take an airplane back and then go back to pick up the airplane when it's fixed. But a couple caveats of this. Number one is you must let us know in operations when something like this happens. We need to know because we need to open a claim for you so that we know it's coming. Now, you also need to give us some idea of whether you're going to take an Uber home, whether you're going to stay in a hotel, whether you're going to take a flight home. Regardless of what you do, when the airplane is fixed, it is your responsibility to go out and get it and bring that back home. And you will pay for that back home flight like you would have if it didn't have a mechanical breakdown. Okay. So this is available for you, but you need to let us know before you utilize it so that we can walk you through the process and get the claim open. Now, everybody is, again, part of this, assuming, again, as I said earlier, that you're following the operational rules. But what we do as part of this IDP is we set aside a fixed amount of money every year to handle the things that we don't want to send to insurance. And why do we not want to send things to insurance, you might ask? Because we need to make sure that that we're able to get insurance every year, number one. Number two, we keep the rates as low as possible, which in turns keep aircraft rates as low as possible. And the way that we do that is through this IDP, and that's part of it's the 3%, part of it's taken out of dues. But the bottom line is everybody is subject to a $2,500 deductible. So the maximum amount you will pay is $2,500. Now, there is a chance, depending on the situation, that there may be an offset. There may be less deductible if it falls into one of these 3 areas. You may pay $750 if there's some fault, but not gross fault, and $0 if it was a mechanical issue. Let's just say you geared up an airplane because the gear wouldn't actually come down. You tried a whole bunch of troubleshooting. It just didn't come down. Then it's very likely that the deductible offset will be no fault and you will pay 0. Okay. It just depends on the situation. Now, speaking of the situation, the last thing that we're going to go through here is what happens if an incident or an accident occurs. As I said earlier, once you make sure that your passengers are safe and unharmed, make sure you notify us in operations first using the operations emergency line. Once you notify us, we'll open up an investigation. Once that investigation is opened up, your membership is suspended per the bylaws until we complete the investigation, which typically takes 1 to 30 days. Once we complete the investigation, you're going to be called for a membership reinstatement meeting that is conducted by the membership committee, and that is done via Zoom online. We will review the case, we'll review the accident details. The committee may ask you questions, and the primary goal of that committee meeting is to determine how we can make sure this doesn't happen again. It is typically results in the reinstatement of the person's membership, but it depends. If there are some egregious accidents, which you have access to read all these, if these egregious accidents or incidents occur, then your membership may likely be terminated. But these are very rare and pretty egregious usually. And again, under the safety section accident reports, you can see what I mean by egregious, because all of those, all that information is there.